10% won't add up to be that much.
Okay.
Although maybe it is, because, yeah, I think we probably would look at this probably as a 10-year special assessment.
That's
And
4%?
in rough terms, 10 years is $20 a month for every trailer. And that's,
And that's what he wants to be able to raise their rent and not go over that, I think is what he said. Because obviously he ain't gonna pay that.
No.
I think that's just figure out where it's coming from.
That's how you want to work the numbers, that's where it's at.
okay. Well, we'll see what we can come up on that, as far as maybe adjusting the rate depending on the status of
That's
having to
what-
pay that other half for the lift station. Okay?
Because the consensus is most guys don't want to pay that extra $1,000.
Not if we can get away with it, not paying it.
Yeah, I don't.
If it comes right down to it, I'd pay it. I mean, I want to know that bad that I'd pay it. I don't know if you didn't know that.
Okay. Number 6 just details how the charges would be, that they get charged the same monthly charge as any other customer, and it's based on water, but they would also agree to install a flow meter on that lift station if the amount of sewage exceeds the amount of water. Then they would be billed based upon that flow meter on the lift station. That put in to address any concerns about infiltration. So if we're pumping a lot of infiltration water, at least we're being paid for it.
So if they, what's like the line of demarcation, if you will, in that kind of situation? Is it up to him? Like where, yeah, I don't even know what happens on an individual residence, but with 40 individuals, like, and they have a sewer problem, is it his up to a certain point, his problem up to a certain point, and then it becomes the city's?
Oh, yes.
So it's a similar, I mean,
Yeah, very similar. So if this happens at your house, and you have a sewer blockage at your house, and it's in the service line to your house, but say between your house and the street, that's still your problem
so it would be
as the property
his
owner.
up
Yep,
to
and the
the
same
city.
deal applies.
Even though
You
there's
put
40
in put in
residents.
mains, but essentially it's going to be private until it gets to that lift station. Then, when it's going out into the public mains, it'd be our problem. But if there's problems within the trailer court, it'd be their problem to take care of. Okay. This details the easements, and that they do give easements, and they give easements for future development there too, if we need to get into their property for future reasons. Okay, and then 8 talks about that public dedication, so that it's dedicated to the public after completion of construction. Okay? And then from that date on, it's the responsibility of the city. But this stipulates which things are dedicated. The items dedicated to the public include the lift station and the force main only. So that's what we were talking about, Tony. That if anything happens in the trailer park itself, it's still a private issue.
Then they'll give us an easement, so that, for that force main?
Yep. Yep. The annexation, about when that would take place. Zoning, this would be zoned as a commercial property, which would be different than Dixieland. Dixieland is zoned as a mobile home court. There's an important distinction in their mind between mobile home court versus a campground, and they very much consider themselves to be a campground. And it's, I guess, up to you whether you see that same distinction or not, because there's a lot of camping units out there, yeah, but there's also a lot of mobile homes. I don't know what the percentage might be, but whether it's 50-50 or not.
more mobile homes. Okay.
Then they would ask for these issues because they view themselves as a commercial business, where the business would be the issue that, or the entity that would be responsible for permits and garbage service, that type of stuff. They would ask that the individual people not be held accountable for building permits and garbage service.
Well, in building permits, how do we keep it from looking like Provost, when they build right 2 feet away from each other,
They
and
are.
fire hazards and all that? Can we not have a stipulation that we can't build so close to each other like
We
we do
certainly would
Provost?
have a stipulation, and if you want to if we wanted to have stipulations like that, we ought to put it in the agreement.
I mean, that's what happened at Provost. They started building on top of each other. And before you know it, I mean, they were 2 feet apart.
Can't even swing a hammer.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't. Some of them you couldn't even get in between the buildings, but I think there needs to be some regulation there that, and nothing else for fire.
You know, and if it's, just say we wanted to have the same regulations as what we have on Provost now, it's just basically 6 feet. You gotta have the 6 foot
We got a precedent
separation.
set. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad way to go, I don't think.
Who'd go out there and monitor that? Who, situation with that?
Building inspector? It's building inspector, but,
But we said they don't have to have
you
building
don't need to
permit.
get a building permit, there'd be no reason.
We'd have to have Mike enforce that, I would think. Is it possible? I mean, it's fine if you put it in there, but I'm just gonna say how,
There's no incentive for him to self-police that, but.
that's what I'm saying, so how would you, if we're gonna put it in there, you gotta have a way that you're gonna police it, so. You can put it in any way you want, if nobody's gonna enforce it, then it's just waste of time and waste of paper. And I don't know who you'd wanna do that, I guess that's, comes to the
Thinking on that one.
city manager to think about that.
There you go.
That's why we got manager behind that.
Okay, and then when you flip to page 21B, the rest of this is just kind of a lot of the legalese of the contract, but then there's number 16 too, that I would ask Aaron to rewrite this thing. But basically, he just said, yeah, well, they'll give first lien to the property. So we kind of on the same page, that this has been very helpful for me to know exactly where we can sit and we can present next week.
And you are trying to get Jake in at the same time.
Yeah.
I think it only makes
I
sense
think
to.
so.
How would that work on number 6 then? Would you just put his water, Jake's water bill in then, and then figure out the sewer with the flow?
Jake's got an individual water meter at his house, so
Okay.
he just gets treated like any other customer.
So you just add both of them together and then do the difference if there's...
We'll just be able to subtract
influx.
Jake's off.
Oh, to figure that, the
You
amount
know,
of
where the
infiltration.
influx would be
Yeah,
coming from.
sure.
I don't know how. Just thinking out loud.
You know, and I'm just thinking out loud then too, but we probably have some, I don't know, if you just say if everything stays within 15% of water usage or something like that, it's considered to be normal, or, you know, if we can have some rule of thumb like that too.
What if he comes back and says, well, you know, winter times I don't use nothing, so why should I be punished for a certain time of the year, you know what I'm saying? So when you average out the full year's use, would he come back and say something like that, you know, that if there's infiltration, what you're talking about, and the sewer rate is high during them 5 or 6 months, and he comes back and says, well, another 6 months I don't use anything, what's our response as a city?
You know, twofold. First of all, it has to be operating because of at least the 2 private residences who are there, so I mean, there's no option to shut it down.
No, okay.
But the second issue would be, I mean, we still get infiltration during the wintertime, don't we, Jack?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, okay.
so okay.
How about it?
Yeah, all right.